Good morning and welcome to Health Talk, sponsored by Mon General Hospital. This program is designed to provide education on vital health topics to help you take charge of your health. You'll also be introduced to Mon General's committed physicians, allied healthcare professionals, and quality programs and services. And now, here are your Health Talk hosts, Kay Murray and Jim Stallings.
Good morning and welcome to Healthline on this Thursday morning, Health Talk with Andrea McCarty this morning, Mon General Diabetics Education Coordinator. And of course, Jim Stallings will join us in just a moment. Glad you could take time out of your day to be with us. And good morning to Andrea.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Yes, you're becoming a regular. And today we're going to be talking about, with the 4th of July coming up, we want to talk about picnic food because that's what a lot of us will be doing, enjoying the lake and going on a picnic. And I know, Jim, you probably have some big plans as well.
I got a big picnic basket, and I'm ready to load it up and take it out to the park.
Well, we want you to be safe with that, don't we, Andrea?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I don't want to leave my mayonnaise out for an extended period of time on my sandwich.
Probably not a wise idea.
Yes, and that's why we're here together today, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where you even begin with this. Packing the picnic and getting it ready to go to our festivities. What are some of the things we need to remember?
It's really important to remember to keep foods that are cold, and foods that are supposed to be hot. A thermometer can be incredibly important for food safety reasons. Food needs to stay out of the range of above 40 degrees and less than 140. So you've got to stay out of that range 40 to 140. And foods that are supposed to be cold should not be kept out of a refrigerator for longer than 2 hours. However, if it's 90 degrees or warmer, and I don't know what the weather is for next week.
It's going to be hot.
If it's 90 degrees or warmer, then you need to no more than an hour should it be outside of a refrigerator. So you really need to make sure you have something to keep it incredibly cold and at the right temperature below 40 degrees for those cold foods.
That's kind of common sense stuff, though, isn't it?
It is, but let's be honest. When we're celebrating, say, the 4th of July, keeping our food safe isn't high on our priority list for most of us.
True, and keeping the kids safe as well.
Right. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, Jim had mentioned the mayonnaise, but think about pasta salads, potato salads that have dressings that are not mayonnaise-based, more like vinaigrette, oil-based. Yes. Mm-hmm. Those tend to keep a little better in the hotter weather.
Again, common sense.
Yes.
And that's getting ready to pack. What will happen to us if we get bad mayonnaise or if something's been set out too long?
Well, foodborne illness sickens a lot of people every year, but the only problem is you could get sick within 2 hours or up to 6 weeks after you consume that food. So by the time you get sick, you may not know, is it the mayonnaise or the chicken salad that was left out in the sun, or is it something I had last month? So you can't always pinpoint exactly the cause of the food, but the symptoms of foodborne illness would be diarrhea, dehydration that can be extremely severe, vomiting, overall feeling similar to flu symptoms.
You know, one other thing that we need to be careful, we do a lot of grilling on the 4th of July as well, and keeping our meat separate is so important because we may have some chicken on the grill and we have it on a plate, but then we have the raw chicken. We don't want those to touch in any way, do we?
Correct. One of the other big keys to food safety any time of year is separating raw meat and cooked meat. For example, if you take your chicken or steaks raw out on a plate, put them on the grill, you don't put the cooked meat back on the same plate unless you have washed it with warm water and soap. Also, if you marinate any of your meats, you want to marinate in the refrigerator, add the meat to the grill, and then don't add that marinade to it unless you go back in the house, boil that marinade.
Oh, my goodness.
To heat it up because you're putting basically raw meat liquid on top of cooked meat. You don't want to do that.
Because you tend to brush, as it's cooking. You tend to redip.
Not with marinade, though.
Yeah, what you could do if you like to do that, make the marinade you marinate the meat in and put a batch you didn't put meat in separate. And you can brush the part that the meat was not in. If you have it in a separate container entirely, you can still brush that flavor on the meat without risking the cross-contamination.
All right, should we just take stalks of celery with us or something, and a carrot?
And be done with it, huh?
Apple? No, an apple would probably go bad.
That's what she'd like for you to do.
But remember, you're asking this of a dietitian, so of course I'm going to say it's a great part of a picnic. But you can still take the foods you love. I can think of some, I have a big family reunion this weekend, and I can think of some of the foods that typically are available there. Sometimes there's pasta salads with Italian dressing. They're going to keep better in the heat versus the pasta salad with mayonnaise in it.
Well, things
So
that
there
are already
options.
cooked are okay,
Things
too.
that are already cooked are also a
Now,
good
generally,
option.
hot dogs are already cooked.
Typically they are, but you still want to keep them at the right temperature. You don't want them sitting out all day and then decide 4 hours later you're going to go have a hot dog.
Really?
So you want to keep foods in the right temperature range. If they're cold, less than 40 degrees. If they're cooked, over 140 degrees.
You're going to know it by your tummy if you don't follow those directions, because
Yes,
you really
you
do
could.
have to be careful.
Most people, but I'm pretty sure I got an iron box stomach. I don't
Yes.
get those problems. I mean, some people have tougher times with that stuff, right?
Some people are, but foodborne illness is foodborne illness, and everybody can get it if you're not careful. Everyone is at risk.
Does the FBI know you say foodborne illness? Because that also is an acronym, FBI, foodborne
Oh, well, I
illness.
didn't think of that. No, I guess they don't.
Can you imagine her at a family reunion picnic? Everybody's probably looking at, is she watching now? Hurry up. Grab some mashed potatoes.
You know what
I do
job
get
I would
that,
give
yes.
her if I was the reunion coordinator? Just keep the beer cold. Keep ice on the beer.
And that can't even go bad, right?
Yes. Well, I did have a family member ask, what's it like for other family members ask, what's
I'm
it like to cook
sure.
for a dietitian? My response is, what's it like to eat like one? So
you go.
we're human too.
We're giving you some tips for summer safety when it comes to your gastric endeavors.
And also, if you're a diabetic, we're going to give some helpful hints on that, how to avoid certain foods.
It's 8:41. You're listening to Health Talk, brought to you by Mon General on WAJR.
This is Mon General's Health Talk, providing the information you need to take charge of your health. Call us now with your health-related questions at 304-296-0041.
Andrea McCarty, Mon General's Diabetes Education Coordinator, is with us in the studio. Summertime safety tips. You probably bring the disinfectant soap, the hand pump soap and stuff, right?
Yeah, hand sanitizer is extremely important at occasions like this because you want to keep your hands clean. Important as well if you're touching raw meat to wash your hands, and raw meat can also include eggs. If you're touching that, you want to make sure you wash your hands before you go ahead and touch some other food item.
Oh, just one note on that. When you're using the liquid and you're cleaning your hands, does it really get your hands clean? Because your hands may be already dirty. You know what I'm asking? Now, I
Right.
carry towelettes with me.
Yeah.
Because it seems like I'm cleaning my hands and putting sanitation on, but it seems like the other, I don't know. Does
I
it work?
usually
You know what I'm
recommend-
asking?
The hand sanitizer is great to have all the time, but
Yeah.
if you're going to be at an event where you're going to be away from a water source, the towelettes are also recommended. The hand sanitizer can sanitize the skin, but it may not necessarily clean dirt or other things
There.
off of it, so it won't work in that way. But you also want to check the hand sanitizer you use. Most of them, it'll list how long it has to be on your skin before it has worked. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 60 seconds, but you may want to check with the sanitizer you use, how long does it take before it has truly disinfected your hands.
Can we overdo it with kids?
As far as
Sanitizers and the liquids.
in environments when you're talking about kids touching food, in my opinion, no.
Okay.
If they're
In
doing something else,
general,
it's different.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we can overdo that.
Yeah,
and
I
kids just can't seem to.
You want to keep their immune system strong,
Yeah,
not
right.
always giving them some kind of topical
Right.
ointment.
But it's a good idea with kids when it comes to food and involving food. If they're out dirty, let's say they go to a petting zoo and then they're coming to eat, or they're petting animals or playing in the dirt and in the mud, it's always wise to teach them to wash their hands before they eat, especially eating foods that you're going to be eating with your hands.
I'm at the family reunion. I've got my plate. It's the styrofoam one that's got the 6 sections in it. I want to put the grilled meat in the one section, but I also want to get the macaroni salad. But I don't like my food touching anyway. But I shouldn't have my foods touching, the hot and the cold. Are you suggesting that I get 2 plates instead of 1?
You don't have to do that. If you're preparing your plate to eat the food, that food together, hot and cold, can't touch each other. It's not going to sit on the plate for an hour
Well, not
before
my
you
plate.
eat it. And most of us, that's the case.
He's going to get a second
in that
plate
case, it's
anyway.
okay.
You know that. So.
I know.
I just put a little bit on a plate, but then I go up 7 times. So that way I don't pile up 2 plates. I just put a little bit on 7 plates.
And you probably consider the trip up exercise, right?
Yes, exactly.
You
I
have
know.
him figured
You mean
out.
the
don't
dessert
you?
table's all the way down there.
Yes.
You know, there is one thing we've always tried to bring out on these shows. You're not telling people stop eating, don't eat foods that you enjoy. It's all about moderation and how you eat those foods.
Correct. It's all about being safe with the food choices you make. And if you have other conditions where you're trying to lose weight or control blood glucose or blood pressure, moderation is key. You can still eat what you want. It's knowing how much of it is the right amount for you.
And how do we know that? I mean, if we have a piece of chicken, I've always heard make a fist, but somebody else's fist is a lot bigger than mine,
Exactly.
or mine's bigger than someone else's.
If you're looking at pieces of meat, a piece of meat about the size of a deck of cards, it is about a 3 maybe to 4 ounce piece of meat is a really good portion for meat. For other food items, an average fist is around a 1 cup portion. The only way to know how big your fist is compare it to a 1 cup measuring cup at home to get an idea, because most of us are able to carry our hand with us every time we go somewhere, and a fist-sized portion is a good thing to reference.
Just talked about this being away for a few days and going into restaurants. How much food a restaurant loads up on your plate? I mean, you have enough sometimes for 3 meals. You truly do. And so what do we do there? Do we divide up what we should eat and take the rest home?
Yes.
Because they do. Maybe that's what's making so much obesity.
And many people complain when they go to a restaurant that serves smaller portions. They think, well, we're not getting our money's worth. But use a restaurant meal as an advantage. You can either share it with whoever you're with if you both agree on getting the same thing, or you can go ahead when you order that meal, ask them, only bring out half of it, and I want you to bring the other half in a container to go when you bring the check. That way you're not tempted to eat the entire meal, or you can go ahead and have them bring the entire meal, eat part of it, and plan on taking the other half home. It's one less meal you've got to cook the next day.
And save that money as well.
Exactly. And you're still spending the right amount of money. I mean, you're not wasting money or wasting food. It's just you don't have to cook again.
I was in charge of Italian sausages at the reunion I went to this past weekend. But you'll be glad at the way I think I did it right. I cooked the sausages at home ahead of time and then transported them in a hot crock pot.
Okay, so you were able to keep them hot that way. Good.
Yeah, it took a little while for the electricity. I was a little worried to get that down to where we were setting up the food tables and everything like that. But I think that they stayed warm. Once I got the crock pot plugged in, then everybody else was bringing things in their crock pots.
Good.
We had
I'm
an
glad you said
overload
that.
on the circuit and caught fire to the pool. But other than that, it was
we don't
all
want to
good.
hear the fire part, but that's a really great idea of ways to keep things hot. There are a lot of good ways to do that. And if you're ever in doubt if something's being kept hot, again, go back to the idea of a thermometer. Make sure that it is above that 140-degree temperature. So I'm glad you did that.
And I guess if you're in a park or something where they have grills, I've always said that putting foil on a grill is kind of ruining the whole purpose. But you're probably saying that's probably a good thing. Or you can scrub the grate really well, but also, at times it's rusty. And
right. And in a community grill, do you really know what all's on there? It might just be faster to put the foil across the grill. It's going to give a different quality to the cooked food. It may not be exactly the same as you expect in a cooked process from cooking from a grill. But the other thing is usually the grills in a park, they're not a gas grill, which so many of us are used to. They're more a charcoal grill, and it's going to be a slower cook time. So you've got to really keep an eye on meat on the grill, because the longer you let food linger as it's warming up and heating, the longer it stays in that 40 to 140-degree range, the more dangerous it actually can become.
if I take a wire brush to the grate and I spray it with Pam, or I wipe it off, spray it with Pam, and cook a burger on it, would you eat it?
Maybe. That's a tough question for me. I'm a bit particular about my ground meat.
Concerning
That's
wire
a personal
brushes,
thing. That's not. Yeah.
That's interesting too with the wire brushes.
It would be clean. That would not keep me from eating it.
They had a special on about a little boy that they couldn't figure out what was wrong with his stomach. Well, long story short, they had cleaned their grill with a wire brush, and one of those pieces of wire got into his burger, and he ate it.
Oh my!
And then they had to do surgery on him. So
Wow.
I gave you something else
Ouch.
to worry about.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Just something else for us to worry about.
Yeah.
now.
You're listening to Health Talk on WAJR.
The doctors, the latest news and procedures. Your local health connection is Mon General's Health Talk. If you'd like to be on the show, call 304-296-0041.
Andrea McCarty is Mon General's Diabetes Education Coordinator. Remember, WSCR. WSCR. Wash, separate, cook, refrigerate.
Correct.
How about that?
Way to go.
I'm making
Way
my
to
own
go.
pamphlet and putting it together.
Did you bring your star to put on his forehead today?
No, but
Andrea?
I'll send one over later.
Please do. Last time you came in, we talked about the diabetes prevention program.
Yes.
Have you started it up?
Yes, we started May 22nd.
How's it going?
It's going really, really well. Yesterday, they completed their 6th session. It's going quite well, and we plan to start another new group by the end of July, and we're looking to do a time that's more conducive to people that work. We don't know exactly which time is available. It depends on when we can get some conference room space, but I hope to know that date, starting date, and time by the end of today.
Okay, what happens with this program?
In the program, it's a year-long program, and it's based on the National Diabetes Prevention Program. Individuals meet with us for once a week for 16 weeks, and then they meet with us once a month for the last 8 sessions, for 24 total sessions. The program is focusing on promoting weight loss through healthy eating, decreasing fat and increasing fiber, and also increasing physical activity. So there's no eat this, don't eat that rules. There's ways to track what you're eating, ways to encourage physical activity, basically just promoting a healthier lifestyle in a way that it will prevent diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
And we're kind of on our own, but you're going to educate us on how to do this.
Correct. We have a wonderful lifestyle coach. Her name is Beth Simmons, and she's leading the groups. And she, again, it's an hour once a week. She coaches you through each step. And because you're meeting in a group, you'll learn as much from the other group participants as you can from the lifestyle coach that leads the program. But it's one step at a time, because you have repeated meetings. You don't start everything all at once. You're easing into it.
Now, this is for the pre-diabetic?
It's for people with pre-diabetes, or for people that may not have pre-diabetes but are at higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. If you already have diabetes, you don't qualify for this program. You need to be in more the diabetes education piece of the program. Pre-diabetes or diabetes prevention is for those that don't have diabetes yet.
Is there a cost involved in the program?
Thanks to wonderful grant funding, we are offering this completely free of charge.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
And, of course, you'll let us know when those new classes begin.
I will.
Evening class is important, because I think you've been doing this in the mornings.
Right, yeah. Because of the time and when we needed to start it, it was hard to find classroom space available consistently every week during an evening or a morning. We wanted to try during the day, especially in the summertime starting. A lot of people don't want to be out in the evening or early morning in the summer. So the next round, we're going to start at a time that's more conducive to those that work. Now that we've got our feet wet with the program, I think we feel better starting at a different time.
I like the idea of a lifestyle coach. That sounds pretty cool. How do I get one of those?
You go to the meetings when they start, though.
Are you a lifestyle coach?
I'm trained to be one, yes.
Of course, you have to have a positive attitude and a positive outlook to be a coach.
She has that for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it doesn't solve anything by being unpositive or
That's
negative.
right.
Don't get anywhere
That's
that
right.
way.
You don't need to browbeat us like a football coach. But
Correct.
a lifestyle
We don't
coach.
do that. We
What is a
definitely-
lifestyle coach? Helps you along in eating right, exercising right.
And tracking your meals. I think
Yes.
sometimes we put things in our mouth that we don't realize.
Yes. And when
what
you
we're
have to
doing.
write everything down and then you know that someone else is going to read it, that is actually one of the best weight loss techniques out there, because you'll be surprised. A lot of us don't realize how much we eat or how many calories we drink if we've never had to write it down.
There's apps now we can put on
Yes.
our iPhones.
Yes.
I've heard about too.
Yes, and Beth, as she's leading this group now, she does recommend some of those apps for people.
Just remember, don't let your meat juices mix with other items of food that you plan to eat.
And be careful with
if we've
mayo.
learned one thing here today, and the mayo, that's two
Yes.
things.
Correct.
We've learned more than that, but
Right.
I just wanted to thank you again for coming in today. You are our leader as far as guest appearances go. It's like I know you're a member of the 5 Time Club at least.
Yeah.
It's like they do on Saturday Night Live, which
Yeah.
this show is very similar to, don't you think?
Oh, so close.
Which
Thank
we
you.
enjoy. Thank you, Andrea.
Andrea
having
McCarty.
me.
And this has been Health Talk. It is brought to you graciously by Mon General Hospital, who allow us to continue to host each and every week. Thank you, Mon General. Now stay tuned for Morgantown AM after the news on 1440 WHAR.